Hello everyone, I'm Gleekles, and today I'm going to be doing the 3-color challenge. I've seen a lot of artists on YouTube and even on Tumblr and Instagram, Twitter, any other social media do the 3-color challenge. A lot of people do markers, some people do it digitally, and some people do it with colored pencils. Obviously I'm going to be doing it with watercolors. Now I have a lot of watercolor tubes in varying tones of hues, so I just picked one hue from each color because I'm gonna level with you guys. I have like 5 purples, and let's make this like a fair challenge. I would love to make a painting with like 5 purples, but you guys probably don't want to see that. So I have one tube of basically any color, like red, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, tan. I didn't include black, and I didn't include white. I don't know why I even have a white color, just to have it, because for obvious reasons. But yeah, so I'm gonna put these in my little watercolor jar. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna close my eyes, and then I'm gonna pick the colors. 1, 2, 3. Oh shit, talking mushrooms. Okay, so I have cadmium yellow deep, which is basically what you use for skin tone. And then I have spring green. And then I have my favorite color of all time, and everybody will tell you I get so much beef for using it all the time and everything that I paint, but it's alizarin crimson. These are all U-checked watercolors. I got these while I was still in college, and I think I got this while I was still in college too. I don't even think you can get these tubes anymore because I think they upgraded them to these sizes. But they're a store brand, but I still really like them a lot. But people ask me about my watercolors all the time, and those are the kind I use. So let's see what I can make with these 3 colors.
Today I'll be using some Arches hot press watercolor paper, a Prismacolor Cool Erase colored pencil in the color Rose, a kneaded eraser, a pencil sharpener, and of course a Signo Uniball white gel pen and a Pentel Pocket brush pen. And of course I'll be using the spring green and the alizarin crimson and the skin tone that I picked. I'm also going to be painting with a little styrofoam plate, and I didn't want it to mix with my other colors. I show these brushes. I use my Utrecht round sable brushes, and I'm just going to start out first with a sketch, putting in all of the shapes of the general area that I want to get my piece into. Now when I pulled these colors, the first thing that I thought of was zombie. I know that may not be what should have come to my mind, but I've drawn a lot of zombies in my day, and I've painted a lot of zombies, and I've liked to experiment with the colors, and obviously the green and the orange and like the red, I was like, these are nasty, so I need to make something nasty, but maybe not so nasty. I had seen this picture on Tumblr of like a rose inside of a teacup, and I thought that was cool, so I wanted to take that suggestion further, and I'm like, maybe I'll draw a zombie with a teacup, but instead of a rose, she's seeping some brain in there, instead of tea leaves or rose leaves. I don't know, I'm weird, but yeah, so that's what came into my head for the idea when I pulled the colors. So I'm just sketching her out here. I put in the general shapes and ideas of where I wanted it to be, and then I started laying in the line work, and I changed my mind a couple of times as far as hair, but then I decided on long, billowy, untamed hair, and I gave her a cute little bow with some little bones on it, and then of course she's got little bite marks, and her little face is tearing away, and she's got her teacup, and she's just sitting there in deep thought while she's sipping on her tea. It's been really cold outside, so that may have something to do with it, where I was like, warm beverage, that's what I'm thinking of, warm beverage. So yeah, that may be where that came from. And just a little dress. She's very prim. She's very proper. When I draw zombies or like anything like that. I try and make them a little bit less conventional than normal. So that may be where that idea came from. And then I'm going to come in here with the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen to do my inking. You guys know I love this pen. I am actually, going way slower than the video is showing. In order to get the strokes that I want, I really have to take my time. And I always brush towards myself, never away from myself. It may look different because of the angle that I have the camera on, so you can get a closer look at the ink job. But people always ask me about, how I'm using the pen, and they want tips. And I will be making a video on how I do my inking for you guys because someone has requested it, and it is on my list now. But I always use my pen strokes going towards me for better control. But I do take my time, and I can get varied lines and tapered lines before I go on to the other side. As you can see, obviously my hand would be resting over my ink work right here, but I had to stop and wait for that to dry. It's just safer that way, or you will smudge. It's a wonderful pen. However, if you don't wait, then your stuff will smudge. I'm sure there's other options. Some people suggest putting down another sheet of paper, getting one of those gloves, putting down paper towels. I just like to play it better safe than sorry, and I just like to let it dry. I also could have started inking from the left-hand side, but for whatever reason I wanted to make my life a little more difficult and ink from right to left. I don't know, I'm weird like that. But yeah, so I go in before coloring and I use the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen, and I'm just really taking my time and going through with the lines. And when it came to her hair, I wanted it to look like, she was a put together young lady before she was undead, but none of that left her. She was as put together as possible. However, as her body was withering, I wanted to show that, her hair was too. When hair is dead, it doesn't remain perfect because your hair is also alive. Isn't that a wonderful thought? I really like how that hand came out too. I've been really playing with hands and how I could make them look good, but at the same time stylize them in a way where like a feminine hand wouldn't look manly, or vice versa. Hands are hard, as people are hard. Any kind of figure and anatomy is difficult, especially when stylizing. But finally I'm going in with the colors. And at first I mixed the orange and the crimson together lightly, just to get like a very pale fleshy tone, and lay some of that down first as like an underlayer, because obviously she's dead. But a lot of times I go unconventional and I'll make monsters or like supernatural creatures. I'll make them alternative colors. I've painted vampires before and zombies before, and I've painted them like pink or blue, just to do something different. But because of the color palette that I have here, I thought it'd be really neat to make her hair green instead of like her body green, which is more conventional. So I, laid in a light wash of green for her hair, and then I really popped in the red for her dress and kept her skin, the undertone, more really fleshy and just pale and deadly, and put in the orange into the teacup. And now I take the orange into her body to give it, some depth, give it some texture. I let that dry, and then I'm coming back in with the colors once more to make them pop, because I layer my colors. If you didn't want to come in 2 times for your layers, you can always add more pigment than water. However, sometimes that doesn't work out, or like the water, you may not get a nice even layer. Like I said, I like to play better safe than sorry, so I would rather go back in for another layer. And I like the texture that layering creates, instead of just doing strikingly bold colors the first time, even though I am aiming to make my colors more bold. So then I went in with the orange to create some shadows and some depth and some texture. Went in for the second layer on the dress and the hair tie and the brain and the teacup and her little fingernails and her lips and her eyes. I wanted her eyes to really pop out and be beautiful and match all that. I went in with the red to give her little boo-boos, her little wear and tear, some life. and gave the teacup and her nails some life. And then I mixed the red and the green together to kind of, pop that out on her dress a little bit more. Her dress is a little bit stained. It's not perfect, as one would expect. After staring at it for a while, I realized it looked weird if she was just a little bit of rot and decay, but her dress and the rest of her was not. So that's why I carried it onto there. And then I went and took the red to do some shadow work on her hair, which I think came out really nice. Again, that's why I made it so light, so you can see the texture and the colors that go through. And for the sake of her not floating in space, I went and carried out the little bones that I originally drew on her headband, and I put them behind her, just like kind of scattered just for fun. Make it a little more illustrative and put it on her headband. Popped her eyes out, popped the brain out a little bit more, make that red a little more juicy juice. So it, kind of creates the feeling of that fresh, bloody look without it being messy. And of course, last but not least, I go back in with the Signal Uniball pen to create some highlights and as well as give her a little bit depth to show where parts of her figure are in front of other things within the drawing. But this was an incredibly fun challenge. I was a little discouraged at first, but I'm glad I finished her and she came out great. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.